Now then, people, welcome to the video. Very excited to talk you through how I helped Andrew, a busy corporate director, transform his life from being lost and unfulfilled to becoming an absolutely unstoppable father and husband. So Andrew came to me for a multitude of reasons. Originally, he was feeling a little bit lost with his training. He was training on a regular basis, but felt like he was somewhat treading water. And also he felt like there were certain aspects of his personal and professional life that were suffering as a result of this. So we looked at everything that he was doing, how we could improve it, how we could remove any obstacles, limiting beliefs, just anything that was holding him back in life, so that ultimately he could transform his physique, his mindset, his lifestyle, so that he could become the absolute best version of himself as a father, as a husband, and as a corporate director. So in this video, I'm going to give you insights into some of the methodology that we used, some of the strategies we used, some of the results that Andrew saw, and hopefully give you a bit of a deeper insight into how I work and what I do. So you can see here, Andrew saw a huge increase in energy levels, focus and clarity. So I'm going to talk you through some of the things that we did to help Andrew eliminate the distractions and gain complete clarity of purpose. He noticed a huge improvement in productivity in the workplace. So again, we'll talk through how we optimized Andrew's routine to increase productivity within his career. He would regularly mention on calls or in messages that he'd crushed a presentation at work or a meeting, and ultimately because he felt better in himself, because he'd been on the transformation with his physique, with his mindset, with the level of discipline that he'd gained, he was just absolutely outperforming his previous self within his career. And also how we managed to build a bulletproof mindset and discipline. So we'll talk through some of the strategies we used to build an unstoppable amount of discipline in Andrew's life. Now, before we get started, if you want to learn a little bit more about some of the methodology and some of the strategies that we used, there is a link in the description below. You can download your free copy of the High Performance Man. That will give you a bit of an insight into some of what we did with Andrew. Wait until the end of the video before you go and download that though. Make sure you watch to the end. So, Andrew's results. Now, let it be clear, everybody comes to me for different reasons. Ultimately, a transformation is relative to the individual. It's never Andrew's goal to be absolutely shredded. He's a busy guy, he's got a lot on, that just didn't appeal. He wanted to be in the best shape of his life so that he could be a stronger role model to his daughter, so he could be a better husband to his wife, so that he could outperform his previous self within his career. Ultimately, he wanted to improve his physique, his strength, his fitness, his energy levels, and the byproduct of all of these things is an increased level of focus, productivity, and just absolute clarity and purpose within his life, which we absolutely achieved. Now, we worked together for a little over 6 months. Andrew has now gone on his own. He's now continuing his journey, and having spoken to him since then, he's absolutely crushing it. So as you can see, we saw a huge reduction in body fat, an increase in lean muscle mass. He became a hell of a lot stronger, fitter, and a lot more mobile as well. And ultimately, he gained complete clarity with exercise execution. So a lot of what we do within the program is looking at not just what you're doing, but how you're doing it, so we can maximize your opportunity within the gym, so that you're not just going through the motions, you are actually building strength, building muscle tissue, and making every session count. And by Andrew's own admission, he saw significant advancements in his physical performance, which we will talk through a little later on as well. So just before we get into some of the methodology, some of the strategies that we used, just going to give you a bit of an insight into my backstory, what brought me to this point. As you can see, there is a photo of me with my family on Christmas Day. So my wife Lisa, my son who's 13, Toby, and Henry the dog, who always seems to look away from the camera at the right time. So just to give you a bit of an insight, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a business owner. At the point of recording this, I've been training for just over 25 years and coaching for a little over 11 years. Within that time, I've competed in strongman, powerlifting, CrossFit, and more recently, in the last 6 or 7 months, I've taken up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So there is a huge part of my life that is training in the gym and also developing skills on the mats within Jiu-Jitsu. So I'm very, very much, performance based. I like to push at the boundaries of what I'm capable of and chase discomfort. Hence why a huge part of my message on social media is chase discomfort. Now, I worked in the motor trade for 12 years before working as a freelance personal trainer for 12 months, then secured some space and opened and ran my own gym for 5 years before closing it in January 2021 and transitioning into online coaching. Now, within my adult life, I've suffered with anxiety, still do to a degree at times. I've been in therapy for 7 years. This helped me sort of manage that anxiety and make sense of why I was feeling the way I was feeling, triggers, ways of controlling it, and ultimately how I could improve my life off the back of that. And I've spent thousands of hours over the last 15, 20 years working on my mindset and ultimately personal development and self-mastery. I've been in absolutely terrible shape myself, so I haven't always been in shape. I've been out of shape and overweight myself. I've been in terrible shape both physically and mentally, which had a huge impact on my confidence and self-esteem. I've neglected myself and seen firsthand the negative impact that had on my relationship with both my wife and my son. And ultimately, it took me accepting responsibility, taking control to transform my physical health, mental health, relationships with my wife, my son, close friends and family, and also my confidence, self-esteem and business. Once I took control and focused on making myself my own number one priority, ultimately my business improved as well, because I was able to bring the best version of myself to everybody that needed me in a professional sense. Now, I've seen firsthand how these changes have transformed every aspect of my life beyond belief, which is why, as it's hidden there, I now help transform unfulfilled guys like Andrew to go from undisciplined and lost to being unstoppable leaders for their family and their businesses. So, over to Andrew. Why is that not loading? Here we go. So, discovering Andrew's unique needs. So, everybody's different. You can go out there and you can get a very copy and paste cookie cutter program that will give you a training program, a nutrition plan, and away you go. And it's a little bit like hoping for the best. Is the training program going to work for you? Is the nutritional plan going to work for you and your tastes and your preferences and your lifestyle? Out of a percentage, there will be some people that will succeed, but a lot of people will not because it won't fit their lives. So this is where we really need to delve in and find out your unique needs. And in this case, what was Andrew's unique needs? So we started off with a comprehensive evaluation. So an assessment of Andrew's current lifestyle habits and overall performance. So what was he doing that was detracting from where he wanted to be? What habits, what behaviours was he exhibiting and doing on a daily basis that was actually taking him further away from the person that he wanted to be, which is ultimately the best version of himself as a father, as a husband, and as a corporate director. Off the back of that, we then needed to identify any obstacles. So identifying any potential roadblocks with mindset and limiting belief. So a lot of the time, people don't necessarily have an information problem. It's an implementation problem. And the implementation can often be because we just need to get out of our own way. So a lot of the time, we won't act on the things that we need to do because we either don't have the full belief in our abilities to succeed, we've not given ourselves permission to succeed, or maybe we've tried and failed in the past and we just convince ourselves that it's just not going to work. So it's important that we find out why you're doing the things that you're doing currently, how we can remove those and replace those thoughts, feelings, habits and behaviours with something more conducive with what you want to achieve, the person that you want to become, and the goals that you want to achieve short and also long term. And then customising a programme. So creating a programme based on Andrew's unique needs rather than generic information. So with Andrew, he's a very busy guy, as I mentioned several times, corporate director, a lot of stress, a lot of pressure within the workplace. He's also a father, he's also a husband. He has a home gym in a basement, so he lives over in Canada. So in the basement, he has his own home gym. So for him, he has the accessibility in the sense of the gym is in his house. However, he doesn't have the luxury of a multitude of equipment as you would in a commercial environment. So a cookie cutter plan wouldn't work for Andrew because we had to factor in A, the time he had available to train, and B, also equipment accessibility. So because he had a limited number of equipment, or limited access to equipment, should I say, we needed to make sure that everything that we did in the training sense was absolute bang for buck. We didn't have a multitude of different machines, cables, dumbbells, equipment that we could utilise. We had to make sure that everything was tailored to Andrew, what he could do now in terms of strength, ability and skill level, but also what he had access to in terms of equipment. Then it became about personalising a performance strategy, so designing a roadmap for success. So again, as I mentioned before, a lot of the time it's not necessarily an information problem, it's an implementation problem. So once we've established why Andrew was where he was, what he wanted to achieve and what was potentially holding him back. We then needed to design a roadmap so that we could ensure that these things actually happened and that ultimately Andrew could succeed with everything that he wanted to achieve. So it became about identifying habits and behaviours. What habits and behaviours were currently holding Andrew back? What do we need to do to replace these to guarantee success? So again, it could have been a nutritional approach. So a lot of the time with Andrew was in the mindset, and again, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's through a lot of misinformation on social media. He was under the illusion and the belief that if it fits your macros, then it was fine. So there was a lot of the time nutritionally, he was consuming foods and they would fit within his calorie and macronutrient targets. However, because of the nutritional values and because of the food quality, they weren't serving Andrew to the best of his abilities in the sense of energy levels. He wasn't getting the vitamins, the minerals, the micronutrients that he needed to optimize his physical health. So again, we worked a lot on his behaviors and his habits from a nutritional sense, equally from a training perspective, and a lot of the lifestyle habits that he'd adopted over the years, a lot again through misinformation and a lot of conflicting information on social media. So it was a case of what is he doing at the moment, what habits and behaviors do we need to replace, and how can we replace those with things that are going to be more conducive to building a more disciplined version of Andrew. We then needed to look at identifying roadblocks with his mindset. So as I mentioned before, any kind of limiting beliefs and roadblocks with Andrew's mindset, so we could focus on building an unstoppable amount of discipline. So you'll hear people talk a lot about discipline. Motivation will get started, but discipline is what keeps you going. It's very easy for people to tell you that you just need to be more disciplined, but how do you build that discipline? Now, discipline and mental resilience is no different to physical strength. If you want to build strength, if you want to build muscle, you turn up to the gym, you put the reps in, you get stronger, you build more muscle. It's the same when it comes to building discipline, and it's the same when it comes to building mental strength and mental resilience. You have to continually put the work in. So by identifying any potential roadblocks with mindset, any kind of limiting beliefs, we can continually challenge these beliefs so that we can replace any limiting beliefs with the belief that this will work, I will succeed, and I am worthy of success. It then became about creating non-negotiable standards. So by reverse engineering the end goal, we created a set of daily non-negotiables that Andrew would focus on achieving daily, regardless of emotion. And that is the key aspect there, regardless of emotion. A lot of people fail to follow through with the work that they said they were going to do because they let emotion dictate the outcome. So people won't get up in the morning and go for a walk because they don't feel like it, because it's raining or it's cold or they're tired, or maybe they've had a busy day at work and they had every intention of going to the gym after work, but they've had a busy day, they've had an argument with the boss, they're stressed, and then suddenly they don't go to the gym. It's about creating a set of standards for yourself that regardless of how you feel, you still turn up every day. You won't always feel like doing the work, the same as Andrew didn't always feel like doing the work. He was getting up at 5:30 a.m, down in his basement in Canada, working out on his own, very isolated, but he knew that if he wanted to be the best version of himself as a father, as a husband, as a corporate director, he couldn't wait for the days that he felt like getting up and working out. He got up and did the work and didn't let emotion dictate the outcome. So again, it's about reverse engineering the end goal. What do we need to do on a daily basis, and viewing it almost like compound interest with money. You put money away in the bank and over a period of time it will accrue interest. Over an extended period of time, that interest starts to add up. It's the same with habits and behaviours. If we can turn up every day and do these non-negotiables that ultimately we know will get us closer to where we want to be and building the man that we want to become, it becomes a lot easier at doing the work even when you don't feel like doing it. And then time management and scheduling. So Andrew is a very, very busy guy, as I mentioned several times already, corporate director, father and husband. So optimizing his routine was key to ensuring we got everything done. So again, what was he doing previously? How was he structuring his day? What was he doing first thing in the morning, after work? Essentially, we looked at morning until night and how could we make sure that he was doing everything he needed to do on a daily basis whilst also still being the person he needed to be for everybody around him. So then it became implementation of high performance habits. So transforming Andrew's daily routine. A lot of people fail to succeed with their goals because what they will do is they will look too far into the future. They will then get overwhelmed by the end goal and do nothing, or they will get to the point where they will be in this constant cycle of overanalyzing what they need to do. Then it just becomes a case of breaking everything down and focusing on the day ahead. If you can turn up and succeed today, that's all you need to focus on. You then wake up tomorrow morning, same again tomorrow. Again, as I mentioned before, it's about this compound interest effect. So rather than focusing on 6 months ahead or 12 months ahead, what do I need to do today? So again, if we can optimize Andrew's daily routine, which we did, he has the confidence to know that if I can tick these things off today and tomorrow and the following day and the following day, week after week, month after month, the results, they will happen. So what did Andrew's morning routine look like? So we transformed his morning routine to increase productivity, again, in line with non-negotiable standards. So again, this became about getting up and doing the workout at the start of the day before he started his working day. Ultimately, that meant that at the end of the day, he was free to be a father, to be a husband, and he wasn't worrying about getting in the gym and working out and potentially detracting from his ability to be there for his family. Focus boosting strategies, so identifying and implementing strategies to improve daily focus. So again, as a busy corporate director, having meetings, entertaining clients, delivering presentations, he needed to make sure that he was able to turn up to these meetings, to these presentations, and be the absolute best version of himself as a corporate director. If he was neglecting his physical and mental health, if he wasn't eating right, if he wasn't sleeping right, then ultimately he wasn't going to be able to do this. So we need to find ways to boost his focus. So again, this came from nutrition, from sleep, from recovery, from hydration, from working out and focusing on building the body and building the mindset so that he could have an unparalleled amount of focus in his professional career. Performance-based nutrition, so reviewing nutritional intake, optimizing food choices to improve energy, digestion, and overall health. So again, as I mentioned before, sort of trying to remove this belief that if it fits your macros is enough. No, we need to look at food quality. How does it serve us? Is it providing us with the vitamins, the minerals, the macronutrients, so the protein, the carbohydrates, the fats that we need to be full of energy, to have that mental clarity and that focus so we can succeed and perform in all areas of life. But also digestion, not a lot of people focus on this. So how does the food make you feel? Are you able to digest the food? Do the foods agree with you? Not everybody will agree with not every food will agree with everybody. There are certain foods that I don't eat because ultimately it messes up my digestion, therefore it messes up my energy levels. And it's the same with Andrew, and it'll be the same with yourself too. Also meal timing. So we looked at an average day in terms of the time that Andrew worked out, the time that Andrew worked, potential meetings, family time in the evening, and optimized his meal timings so that it removed an element of decision fatigue on a daily basis, so we knew exactly what he needed to do day in, day out. Improved sleep routine. So again, it's about making sure that we're getting that consistent sleep day after day. So a lot of the time people will fail to go to bed at the same time and get up at the same time, and they'll be driven by external factors such as watching TV or going out socializing and things like that. And that isn't to say that you can't do these things, but for the most part we need to find a structured sleep routine that will allow you to get good sleep quality and quantity. So again, what are we doing before bed? Sort of a pre-bed routine to get you into a period of time pre-bed where your body's starting to relax, so that when you get into bed you've got a better chance of falling asleep faster and having more deep sleep, because ultimately that's when we recover from training and also recover from the previous day, so that we can turn up the following day and have that level of mental clarity, focus and energy to attack the following day, whether that be training, whether that be professionally, whether that be personally. Planning. So by planning and preparing ahead of time, success rates are drastically increased. So again, we work closely with Andrew to make sure that he was planning and preparing ahead of time. So preparing food for the following day, planning in his workouts in his diary ahead of time, making them a non-negotiable. So he knew that on this day, at this time, he was going to get out, work out, get it done before work. At this time in the evening, he was going to work on the following day. So he was going to get his food prepared. He was going to plan out what time of day he was going to get his steps in. He was going to make sure that he had the best chance of success. There is absolutely no point getting to the end of the day realizing that you've not hit your steps, not hit your nutritional needs because the day's done. So planning and preparing ahead of time was a huge thing that we did with Andrew because he's very, very busy. I know I've said this several times already. He is a busy corporate director. He is a father. He is a husband. He has a lot of things going on. So we couldn't leave things to chance. We had to make sure that there was a heavy emphasis on planning and preparation. And then also stress management for increased presence. So a lot of the time when you own your own business, when you're in a high corporate pressure position within a career, excuse me, it's about strategizing how to increase calmness and be more present in the moment. So a lot of people will find themselves in work, working on the business or working in their career, thinking about home. But then when they're at home with their family, they're thinking about work. So it's about finding ways, and this is what we did with Andrew, to make sure you're where your feet are at. So when you're at home, you're at home. You're with your family. You're spending quality time with them. You're present in the moment. Then when you're at work, you're attacking work. You're doing what needs to be done so that you can get home and spend the time with those that you love the most. Data tracking and understanding. So ultimately what gets measured can get improved. So we performed weekly performance check-ins. So every week Andrew would check in with a detailed review of the previous week and actionable focus points for the upcoming week. So he would do a continued brain dump, and an in-depth brain dump, should I say, of training, nutrition, stress, hydration, recovery, sleep, what went well, what didn't go so well, what did he feel he needed to focus on over the week ahead. I would then review that alongside nutrition, alongside his visual changes to his physique, and give him actionable points to focus on for the week ahead. Ultimately, all tying into the end goal of being the absolute best version of himself, an extremely disciplined man, so that he could be the best father, husband, and corporate director he could possibly be. We utilised weekly coaching calls designed to break down limiting beliefs designed to break down limiting beliefs, roadblocks with mindset, and ultimately build a more disciplined man. Now, those weekly coaching calls are very fluid. There isn't like a structure to them in the sense of we have to talk about this. Some weeks we might talk about nutrition and things that are being struggled with nutrition, or maybe training aspects or recovery, or ultimately these coaching calls are designed to work one-to-one very closely so that we can get Andrew, as we did, or yourself, if this is something you're considering, the best possible results. And then workout and technique reviews. So again, designed to give you complete clarity and confidence with your execution and intensity in the gym. So due to the remote nature of online coaching, I can't be with Andrew in the gym, I can't be with you in the gym. But by reviewing your workouts, by reviewing technique videos that you record and upload, I can optimize and make sure that you're getting the best out of your sessions by maximizing setup, execution, and ultimately making sure that you're safe as well. So Andrew's results, you saw at the start his physical results in terms of the changes to his physique. However, over the course of the 6 months, Andrew underwent a physique transformation, mindset transformation, and lifestyle transformation. So Andrew is by far in the shape of his life. His energy levels have increased beyond belief, which has massively increased his quality of life and ability to be a leader in life. From a mindset perspective, Andrew has now built an unstoppable amount of mental resilience, discipline, and confidence. Meaning he can be the best father and husband he can possibly be, and lifestyle transformation. So with the new habits, routine and structure Andrew has introduced into his life, he can now excel in his career and spend more quality time with his family without having to put his life on hold. And these are things that Andrew is continuing to do day after day, week after week, even now since we've stopped working together. This is just a little bit of something that Andrew said after we'd worked together. So I've gained fortitude, discipline, and the ability to postpone gratification. I've accomplished complete physical and mental wellness and acquired confidence. I've observed significant advancements in my physical performance, and the individualized assistance provided by this program is unparalleled. And as you can see, if you click the link in the description below, you can go and read Andrew's full testimonial. That was just a short snippet of what Andrew had to say. So what were the next steps for Andrew? So we worked together for 6 months, but it's not a case of your 6 months are up, you get kicked out the back door and left to your own devices. What did we do to make sure that Andrew could go off on his own and succeed without me in his corner? So we created a long-lasting action plan. So integration into daily life. So this is about integrating consistent high-performance habit into his daily life. So all of the things that we did over the 6 months, all the daily non-negotiables that we set in place, it was a case of just reiterating the importance of keeping those going and making sure that he knew that if he wanted to not only maintain the results that he'd achieved within those 6 months, but continue to build on those, there was an importance of turning up every day, even when he didn't feel like it. Structured training program, so clarity with how to continue progressing strength, fitness and performance. So what we did was at the end of the 6 months, it wasn't a case of off you go. We put together a training program that meant that when he went on his own, he still had something structured to follow. He wasn't then going back to his old ways of not really knowing what he needed to do for the best in the gym. He had a structured training program that suited the time he had to train, availability of equipment, so that he could continue to turn up on a daily basis and challenge himself and chase discomfort in the gym. And then daily accountability, just sort of reiterating the importance of continuing to hold himself accountable to the non-negotiable standards set. So again, turning up every day, ticking those off, doing the work he needed to do, even when he didn't feel like doing it. And those are just some of the other guys that I've worked with, and these are some of the other guys that stepped up, took action, held themselves to a higher standard, and ultimately not only just transformed their physiques, but their mindset, their lifestyle, and every part of their life. So if you like what you've seen, and if you want to find out a little bit more information, there's a couple of links in the description below. As I mentioned, you can download the High Performance Man ebook. That will give you a bit more insight into some of the methods and the strategies that we've used with Andrew. There is also a link to the full testimonial of Andrew, so you can read what Andrew had to say. Also, I will drop the link below in the description to the Hybrid Transform program. So if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about the coaching program that I offer, you can click the link, you can read a little bit more about that. And also there is a link within that page. If you decide now is the time that you want to take control of your life and become a more masculine and disciplined man, you can book a call, we can have a chat and see what we can do to transform your life too. So hopefully this video helped and gave you a bit of an inspiration and incitement into how you could transform your life too. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to drop a comment below or reach out to me on social media and I'll come back to you as soon as I can.